Hi everyone. Let's talk a little bit about editing now. Many of you said you were interested in learning more about that. Now, editing is really tricky and you can spend a lot of time learning about editing. And people spend their professions being professional editors and they get really great at it. And most of us were probably not going to do that. Now, but you can get pretty good at it. Now, many of you will edit right on your phone. Okay, and so if you have an iPhone, you'll see iMovie over here, and you can do editing right in there. Now, there's not a whole lot you can do there, but you can do some basic stuff and get pretty good at it. And you might be happy with just that. That might be enough for your purposes on Instagram or on Facebook, and that's great. You can even go to classes at the Apple Store and really learn how to use that. So I would recommend that as potentially a first step for you. There's also iMovie on any Apple computers that you can use as well. Now, the two biggest, most professional programs that people use are Final Cut Pro and Adobe. And I started out using Final Cut Pro. I will probably go back to that at some point if I start to do some more intense filming work. But that's what I learned in the classes that I took. And I highly recommend that if you really get into this, that you take classes, because it can really be a great way to really hone your skills. Now, what I told you I use on my computer is Camtasia. It's sort of a little step above iMovie, but a few steps below things like Adobe and Final Cut Pro. But they all look the same. They all have some similarities here. Let me put my glasses on. And so what I'm going to show you is what a project looks like. So this is a video that I did on hydration. This is one that if you go to my YouTube page, you can see it. It was one that I did in my kitchen talking about, sort of hydration myths and other ways besides water that you can get hydration. But this is what the video looks like in the editing program. So you can go and look at that video. And then this is like looking at kind of the bones of the video. And so you come down here, if you look down here at the bottom, this is the timeline, and this is going to look really similar to what iMovie and Final Cut Pro look like. And so you can see I have in here my logos first. You put everything on your timeline. You put your images, your video, everything kind of lives down there, and you kind of stack it. And one of the things that I did on that last video to kind of show you what a jump cut was, as you notice towards the end, you saw me talking, and then it like cuts to like a different clip of me talking, but it's not sequential. And that's called a jump cut. Normally, I would have done something called B-rolled over that. And what you do is you can put pictures. So when you see somebody talking and then you see a picture that comes on in the full screen, that's called B-roll. And you can use that. The right way to use it is really as informative. That website that I sent you to about videos, one of the things that it talked about is that you don't just want to be a talking head on your video. You want to use visuals because people learn better when they see and hear. And so that's the purpose of B-roll. You're talking and then all of a sudden full screen, a picture comes up of what you're talking about or a demo or something like that. And in this sense, it's called, when you're editing, that's called the B-roll. But it's also used to paste over jump cuts, mistakes. And that was a mistake that I made on that video. When I was talking, I kind of went, oh, what do I want to talk about next? And I kind of stopped, and then when I went to edit it, I had to cut that out and continue talking. So anyway, that's just some interesting things about that. And so what you see here up on the left, you see this section up here, that's called your media bin. And that's, again, a similar thing to most editing programs. And then over here, this is usually called the canvas. And this is where you actually see the video that you're building. So as I was working on this video,
Hi, this is Beth Kitchen.
I can click that and I can see myself talking and see what I'm talking about there. Now, in this it looks kind of choppy. It doesn't look like this when you convert it to an MP4. And so sometimes the video is rendering and doing some things, so it doesn't look like it's going to look when it's completely converted. Now you see that thing right down there where I have my little scroll that says my name and my title. That's called a lower third. And this editing program has all of those capabilities that you can add that in. You can take that little lower third and drag it down into your video and then type in what you want to type in there. And that's called a lower third. And they have all different styles of those that you can put in, so it can get pretty fun. You can use music that the video editing program provides for you, so that's royalty-free music. I often go and get royalty-free music from different websites that I really like, because I get tired of the same one. So sometimes I use some that I like better. I can get some jazzier stuff that I like. And so this is what it looks like if you get into more intense video. And again, they're all different programs out there, but they all sort of have this sort of same structure. And you can come down here in this timeline section, this long thing that you see down at the bottom, and that's where you're actually doing your actual cutting and putting in your B-roll and doing all the stuff that you're going to do. You can use audio effects. You can change the audio quality. You can bring it up, bring it down, just all kinds of things you can do. Now, one of the things that I do want to stress here, and this is something on the website in your module really talks about, is not overdoing it. When you do too much of this stuff, and I've seen filmmakers do this where because they have all these skills, they're using drone shots and they're doing all these in and out stuff and all these fancy things, it can get too much. And a good motto is, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so if you start to get into this, using too many special effects can be very distracting. So just kind of keep that in mind, that sometimes keeping things simple can work a lot better with educational videos. The other thing that website talked about was trying to keep videos to 6 minutes or under. I really struggle with that. That's really hard. And I try to segment off. I did that with a bunch of osteoporosis clinic videos that I made for a virtual classroom. It was very hard to keep them to 6 minutes, even though I really segmented them off. Most of them are 7 to 8. I do have some that are 5, and I'm going to show those to you here in just a minute. So you can see up on the left in the media bin, that's where all of my media lives, my pictures that I may want to import and use. Sometimes I take pictures myself. You can get royalty-free pictures. If any of you are interested in sites for that, let me know. I can give you some websites for that. And then video lives in here too. So you can, when you film your video on your phone, for instance, you just upload that to the program or download it to the program and drag it down to your timeline, and that's where you do your editing. Now again, we're just scratching the surface here. This is not a film class where you're actually going to learn how to do this. But if you're interested in learning more, let me know, and I can send you to some places where you can do some tutorials on this. It's very fun. It can be very frustrating when you can't figure out how to do something that you want to do. So one of the things that I recommend is that if you get into this, edit all the time. Because the worst thing is when you learn how to do something and then you haven't edited video for a week and then you forget how to do it and you have to go back and do the tutorial over and all that kind of stuff. And so if you're going to do it a lot. And do it regularly so you don't forget those skills. I've had to go back and relearn stuff when I've kind of had this lull in what I've done. So just wanted to show you what that looks like, and if any of you are interested in learning more about that, let me know. Now what I want to do is I want to show you what you do with these videos. You convert them when you finish your editing in your editing program. You convert it into an MP4. And you can put it in various places. I use my YouTube page If you come up here, you can see my YouTube page. This is what mine looks like. Now, people sometimes follow you. You can see I have all of 105 subscribers. Woo! And I don't really use mine necessarily to try to get a lot of subscribers. I'd like to have more, but I use my YouTube page more as a repository because it's really a good place to keep a library of your videos. And then if you want to load them on your website, they pull up for most people very easily. So rather than having the MP4 and necessarily embedded in your website, sometimes it's better to just link up to your YouTube page. Sometimes it's fine to have it embedded. It just depends. It really varies. Now on YouTube, you can have just a list of your videos like I have here. You can have playlists. And I think I've showed you this before when we were talking about social media, and you can see videos here. You are welcome to visit my site and subscribe if you'd like. You can see some examples of different videos and styles. Some, like I told you, where I use my iPhone in my kitchen, and then some where it's more of a voiceover and a video of images, like for the osteoporosis videos. And so you can put them in playlists, which is a great way to organize them. You can go and see all kinds of stuff here. So if any of you are really interested in this, please feel free to go and look and then ask questions. This may not be your style. You may look at these videos and go, that's not what the kind of video you want to do. I want to do more Instagram type of stuff, TikTok stuff, and that's going to be really different from the type of stuff that I do. But again, feel free to look at it. Some of mine have very few views. Others have more than others. So I have one down here that's got like a really, oh, here it is, my 5.7 K views down here. So that's a lot of view. That's over like 5,000 views. And that's because the NOF, the National Osteoporosis Foundation, put it on all of their stuff. So I got a lot of views. And then other stuff, not so much. Some of this stuff on here I use as working video that we're doing research on, like some of these osteoporosis exercise videos. So anyway, if you'd like, take a look at these. You're not going to get quiz questions on any of this. And then talk to me in that discussion board, and we can figure out what other things you'd like to learn more about. But I really recommend going on tutorials. They can be a great way to learn how to do a lot of neat things. The other thing that I forgot to mention in the previous video, you might have heard my air conditioner come on and go off. When you are filming, if you're doing some pretty serious filming, you want to turn off your air conditioner. You want to make sure your fan is turned off. I told you about how I do voiceover sitting on my bed where there's lots of soft surfaces so that you don't get that echo of noise. So as you get more and more into this, if you do, you need to think about all of those things. So what I'd like you to do is, if you're interested, look around, ask me questions on the discussion board, and we'll go from there. The website that I sent you to, I think it's Vanderbilt, is really good about doing education videos. It's kind of geared towards students, but you could take a lot of those tips and gear it towards your videos for consumers as well. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to looking at the discussion board.